We're just normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
It's time for Side Scrollers with me, Stuttering Craig.
I did. Oh, wow! Right on the tip. Just on the tip.
And Blab. Co-hosted by our friends from around the internet.
There is a portion of Norway where it is legally required to carry a firearm at all times.
If you're just a normal man looking for common sense in this crazy-ass world, you've come to the right place. And now, broadcasting from our homes from around the internet, it's time for Side Scrollers.
Okay, you ready?
Open wide! Welcome on out to Side Scrollers on YouTube.com and Rumble.com, and of course, SideScrollersPodcast.com. What is going on, everybody? Hi, it is me. It's Concord Craig. Let's go! Good to see everybody. I am here with my copies, ready to shill them out today. We're ready. Listen, by the way, ridiculous. Anyways, glad you're with us today. Hello, happy Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to you. Here on a God, we got a great group of guests today. I am beyond excited. Of course, starting with the one, the only freak of nature, Blabs.
I'm a freak.
That's right.
Anyway, hi, Concord Craig. How you doing? You having fun with your straw?
Doing great. Doing great. Especially seeing that my investment is paying off. Thank you very much. Have you seen the news?
The eBay and stuff?
Oh, we're talking about that today. I may just maybe in the middle of the show today. Maybe I just have to go buy those 3 copies I didn't get yesterday.
Off to Best Buy we go.
Maybe we do that today. We'll see. Anyways, glad everybody's here. Welcome on out. We have a couple of wonderful guests today. Starting, I'll say, I describe them as a yin and a yang, which someone would probably be upset about for cultural appropriation. Can you say
stop
yin
Asian
yang?
hate?
Yes, stop Asian hate and yin and yanging.
To the 2 whitest people.
That's right. Let's bring in white guy number 1. It's Malcolm.
Hello, I'm excited to be here with you guys today. This is a blast.
Is Blabs, is Malcolm the yin or the yang?
I think he's just the yin. He's the yin.
All right. Well, this is good. We're off to a great start. How you doing, Malcolm?
I am spectacular.
Bring him down,
I am
Blabs.
alive. My kids are alive. Found a new indie game I'm enjoying.
Yeah.
So yeah, good life.
Good life, good wife, good everything, right?
He's
Good
got
stuff.
a baby too. He's been busy.
How many kids you up to now?
Oh, 4. Well, but the oldest is only 5, and we've been doing one a year. So
Yeah.
We do one about every year in a couple months. So the next one's already scheduled for implantation. We're excited.
It sounds so
gotta keep it up.
scientific.
I mean, I want like 13. Okay, the more the merrier. But my wife says she gets to stop at 7 if there's like a horrible surgery.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right. We're gonna get your mic in order, Malcolm. Maybe pull you
Yeah,
down
I just
a
dropped
little
him
bit.
a lot. I hope that works better.
Sounds good. Well, look, you can, by the time you're all said and done, you can have an entire starting lineup for a basketball team and a couple subs.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sounds good. Well, we got the yin here. What about the yang? The other side of the spectrum, Mr. Cool and Suave. It's Mr. Warren Smith. Great to see you, Warren. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, man. How's everything going in your neck of the woods?
It's going steady.
All right. You're like, you know how I like when I think of Warren, I think of like Keanu Reeves, right? Just like kind of cool. But I feel like there's this next level of intensity that you can hit that I feel at any time you could bust out a gun and shoot like 16 people in an action scene. I just get that feeling from you, Warren. I don't really, maybe I'm wrong, but have you ever shot a gun before, Warren?
I have. Yes.
All right. Of course you have, Keanu.
He's like,
All right.
actually, I did this morning.
How have you been?
Me? I'm
And
good.
you, Yang.
Things are going well. YouTube channel's going well. Happy to be here.
Dude, your channel is kicking ass, man. You've been killing it. I'm so proud of you. Is it now your full-time gig?
Yes.
Let's go. I knew it. Oh, once again, I'd like to state claim that I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and it did.
Good call it. Yeah.
That's right. So let's see. I'm just taking a quick glance at your channel. 138,000 subscribers, and every single one of your videos is doing great, man. 71,000 views on your latest video just 21 hours ago. How do you do it?
I think I've come to the realization it's all about a story. And that's a great story. Kathy Newman sitting down with Jordan Peterson, rather than just trying to give analysis on the news or what's going on. If I find something I genuinely care about and there's a story there that I really am interested in myself, those tend to be the ones that other people find interesting.
I love that you like your thumbnails. Your eyes are closed in your thumbnails. Nothing about that makes sense from a YouTube perspective, but they work. It's like you're not even looking at the camera. You just look so distant and like, oh man, I really care about this guy, and I do care about this guy. So, well, there you go. Well, welcome on in, guys. I'm glad to have you. It should be a very, very energetic and fun show, while also being cool and suave like the Marlboro Man. By the way,
Yay, Team Whiteys.
Please clip that, please.
I don't think so.
Yeah, please clip that. Do me a favor, clip that and post it over on X. I don't know if you guys can see that. Just so Blabs can be under fire by the mob on Twitter.
That's fine.
Good. Hey, I'd like to remind everybody.
Right, because of J.K. Rowling anyway. So
I'm sorry, you're doing what now?
I'm finding them left and right anyway because of the whole J.K. Rowling stuff. So it's fine.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to give you an opportunity today to really go in on all those freaks over there on X, which is great. We're going to give Blabs an opportunity to talk Harry Potter today, which always is an adventure. We're going to talk trigger warnings. We're going in on this Polish dev who has slapped down the modern audience in the best way possible. It's really, really fun and exciting. We're going to be talking about the gaming media just truly not understanding what has happened with Concord. They just can't wrap their head around it, and they're blaming all those crazy bigots for its failure. And the memes have been great. And of course, we have a little bit of Kotaku news, which is going to be crazy. But first, I'd like to remind everybody, we are live over at rumble.com/sidescrollers. Do us a favor, hit the follow button over there as we continue to grow a little bit more every single day. You also could have found out that Warren and Malcolm were going to be on the show simply by following us over on X at x.com/sidescrollerpod. In addition, we also have an Instagram account, don't we, Blabs?
We do, so follow us some memes and clips of the show. Otherwise, Malcolm here is going to hang you upside down in his house by the ankles in Pal World.
Sounds great. In his house in Pal World. That's wonderful. We also have a Kick account, and you can listen to the show over on Apple Podcast and Spotify. But the place we really want you guys to go every single day is the best place to support the show, where if you get any value from our show, head over to sidescrollerspodcast.com and become a supporter over there. Link is down in the description. I also bought a new domain last night, Blabs. Really good stuff, because we do have merchandise available. And Malcolm, I'm going to be very excited to see what your thoughts are on this merchandise, and warn you as well. We have a full line of merchandise that's just so memeable. It's great. We have the Make Gaming Great Again hat, which people have loved, along the way. So you can go to sidescrollersmerch.com and pick that up. And a link is also down in the description. In addition to our Make Gaming Great Again hat and our other patriotic gear, we also, I think it's very important that we point out that in addition to that, we also have our White Dudes for Gaming shirt as well, because that's funny and stuff. So you can go pick up your White Dudes for Gaming shirt over on the store, because why the hell not? I think it's just funny as shit.
That's a clever one.
Malcolm's so happy. He's like, yo, can you send me one of those?
Well, I mean, I love how they made it okay to say that.
Right.
Like, they should not have done that. They should not have made that okay to say.
But they did.
If there was a White Dudes for anything, like, do you know how upset everybody would be if it was like, yeah, whatever, pick any subject, pick a political candidate, whatever, White Dudes for Kennedy, they'd be like, you can't do that. It's amazing. But now we have our White Dudes for Gaming shirt, and it's funny as shit. And that's exactly like, it's supposed to piss people off because it's funny as shit. So anyways, go pick it up. We do need a piece of brochacho merch as well. So, you know.
Yes.
Did you see
Bringing it back.
Bringing it back. It's been like 3 months since anybody said the word brochacho on our show, but
Yeah,
Well,
last
you
time
said it
was
before
on
I
here.
did. I just want to point that out.
what's that?
You said the word brochacha before I even did today.
Well, I know.
So you brought it back. Congratulations.
You know, maybe that's what we call Warren and Malcolm when they're on the show together. The ultimate brochachos.
That works.
I like it.
Well, you don't like yin and yang.
No.
Yin and yang bochachos.
I think ultimate brochachos is the way to go. And they can only appear if each of them are on the show together. That's the rule.
From now on, you guys are scheduled bros.
Ultimate brochachos. But hey, if you want to be a brochacho or a normal man, hit the subscribe button over here on YouTube. Join the 93,700 just normal men looking for common sense in the video game, entertainment, and pop culture world. Let's do our best to get to 1,000 likes. And once again, go pick up some merch. Quick reminder, today after the show, I'm playing video games for the first time in like 6 weeks over at the Side Scrollers Plays channel. That is a brand new channel, or not a brand new channel, a totally different channel than this channel. I'm going to be playing Shadow of the Ninja Returns, which is a remake of an old school NES game. And it is done by the original developers who are remaking it, which means it's going to be spectacular. Have you guys heard of Shadow of the Ninja before, Warren or Malcolm?
No.
No.
Man, it is a...
What age is it from of gaming?
the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, is that the one where you used like the shurikens and it was sort of similar to like a Diablo? A Doom clone.
It was, so I would say people compared it to a Ninja Gaiden clone. I think that's the best way that people thought it.
Wasn't that really old Ninja game that was quite popular and a little goofy?
It was I wouldn't call this goofy at all. I would call this hardcore. Yeah, for sure. But the original developers remade it, and it is spectacular. Here's a trailer for it, by the way. That's not it. This is the trailer for it. But it's phenomenal pixel art. If you're into the kind of the old school remake style stuff, apparently this is one of the best. They also did Pocky and Rocky, which was a great Super Nintendo title. And it's done by the original three guys. So anyways, I'm going to be playing this coming up later today over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel. I encourage you guys to join me over there. Once again, it's in a totally different channel than here. So if you want to watch the gameplay, find me over there. So yeah, we got a lot going on, including AJ coming in with the massive 1999 super chat right at the bat. Says normal man thinks video games, enjoying boobies, cracking up open a cold one with the boys, throwing large rocks into lakes, and watching side scrollers. Do you think Dustborn devs are scared after the Concord fiasco? AJ, all those things are wonderful things. Most notably, throwing large rocks into lakes. I think those are great things. Have you guys ever thrown a large rock?
Stone?
It's my kid's favorite thing to do. We just take him to the creek and throw rocks into lakes for hours.
Yeah. Yes,
Bonk.
Blabs.
Bonk.
Do you know how to skip a stone?
I actually can't skip a stone. Now it's sad. I've tried many times, but it just goes thunk to the water.
You got to get a flat stone. This is the most
I
important.
know the theory. It's just, I guess it's all on the wrist, and it's just not working. I guess.
Like
what can
My
I say?
5-year-old child can do it now. How?
It's the sidearm approach. You get like this coaster here, right? This wonderful little coaster I have. You got to wrap your finger around the stone. Go
That's a nice
sidearm.
coaster.
I know, it's great. Sidearm it along the way, and the idea is that when it hits the water, it's got to be flat. That's what causes the skip, right?
I think honestly, I just think I'm retarded. That's all.
Noted. Sounds good.
Because I just can't do it. But then again, I haven't tried in like 10 years. So.
Warren, you got any stone skipping techniques for
Yeah.
Blabs?
I was just down in North Carolina at the river doing just that, throwing rocks. It never gets old. With my girlfriend's 3-year-old, he loves throwing rocks. He's a boy. So, yeah.
It's good stuff, man. And AJ, thank you very much for that. Throwing rocks into water, into any body of water, is a wonderful activity and pastime.
It's very satisfying, the thunk, though. You know, the bloop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Siv's right. You do got to put some spin on it. That's the key. You can't just
Maybe I've just never put the spin on it, I guess.
You got to flip it on the way in. But AJ, to answer your question, do I think Dustborn devs are scared after the Concord fiasco? No, I do not, because they're not paid by the consumer. They're paid by the government, which, it's a totally separate thing. Orthodox Monk says the second episode of Warhammer 40K's series, the Tithes dropped this morning. They have doubled down on the lies of Custode's lore. Oh yeah, the Custodes lore. Something to talk about with Arch the next time he's on. All right, knock it down, Blabs. I think that'd be a great conversation with Arch. Appreciate that. GK came in and says, Warren, did YouTube give you your silver play button yet?
Yeah, it's right
Whoa.
there.
Whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you get because they're downsizing it, so you still get they're getting to downsize it now. I think you got in before the cut. So.
Must have.
Yeah, I was on a show last night with Smash JT, and he's like, eventually they're just going to give you a digital wallpaper for your phone.
Digital code.
Not the same, I don't think.
Yeah. BC says in DKC 1 is, I think Poison Pawn is the worst level, huh? Okay, thanks, BC. Appreciate that. And Absolutely Ready says, I was watching Stranger Things season 4 last night, and the Argyle character said brochacho. Is there no escape from Blab speak? Mandatory Blabs watch Terminator 2. Did you guys know Blabs hasn't seen Terminator 1 or 2? Have you guys seen either of those before?
Why?
It's a great question. Why, Blabs?
What's up? How you doing?
How come you haven't seen Terminator 1 or 2, Blabs?
Because I just don't care enough.
See what I'm working with here, boys?
Yeah, an absolute angel.
It's ridiculous. Okay, all right, let's get into it, Blabs. Give us today in video game history.
All right, you're going to absolutely love this. So hold on to your butt cheeks. September 4th, guys, we have Nancy Drew's Secret of the Scarlet Hand. I just saw him spit. Released back in 2002. We have Super Kirby Clash releasing back in 2019. And then, guys, this one's especially for Craig. We have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 releasing back in 2020, 4 years ago. Yay!
Look at Warren's face. He's like, what am I looking at? Why? What?
I thought that was a long time ago. Is that a remake you're talking about?
Yeah, it was like 1 and 2 combined.
Okay.
Yes, that was a remake. Okay, all right.
Listen, I was doing really well, so I had to keep you guys on your toes and just, give you guys Nancy Drew.
Some noticeable games that Blabs did not hit today in gaming history include Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Tournament Fighter for the Super Nintendo in 1993, Dune 2000, ironically in the year 1998, Pocket Fighter in the arcade in 1997, Revolt, the racing game, in 1999, and this one is for you, Blabs, Stuart Little, The Journey Home for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, but how about Nancy Drew?
Yeah, but how about
on. No, Doom 2000 is one of the most important games in video game history. It bothers me that you wouldn't have gone with that. It is the game that started the resource management RTS genre. That was the predecessor of StarCraft, all of that.
Man, let her know, Malcolm. Let her know. Tell her about it.
I realized I put the wrong year for the years old for Nancy Drew. So I'm also still retarded, but now we have Nancy Drew.
Hold on, Malcolm just laid it down, and the one thing you took out of that was you put the wrong year down. That's
No, but Dune 2000 is a very important game because it introduced the RTS resource management style, and then it was used as the model for early Command and Conquer, where they introduced like multiple types of resources and stuff like that, and more advanced like unit pathing, and that's where it really took off.
Well, thank you for that, Malcolm, and thank you for that, Blabs.
Super Kirby Clash. Yeah.
If you're gonna double down, at least double down on Nancy Drew, because that one's just like
Nancy Drew, Secret of the Scarlet Hand. Yeah.
Great job, Blabs. Really
wait until tomorrow.
Resonating with our audience today. It's really good.
Does that resonate with you?
Delta came in with the 5s. As Malcolm mentioning hanging out with his son by the river and creek reminds me of the fun camping days when I had no sense of danger and we would try and capture salamanders and hermit crabs. That's right. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, and it's spectacular. So, have you ever tried to grab a crab, boys?
So we go to the creek right now with little nets. So I got like butterfly nets from the dollar store, and we catch crawfish because there's lots of crawfish in the creeks here. And my son's always trying to get me to kill them. He's like, he wouldn't let me let it go because, the last time I let one go, and he goes, oh, we're letting them to go so they can go back to their family and friends so we can kill them all. And I was like, where did you learn to think like that? And this time, he wouldn't let me let it go. He said, we need to turn it into a cookie. He goes, if I put it in the oven, it'll turn into a cookie, and then we can eat it, and it'll be good, right? And I'm like, I never taught you any of this. I don't know where you're learning this. Is this like...
Little mastermind.
So Warren, what about you? You ever caught a crab?
I used to have crayfish, just saying.
Yeah, yeah, growing up like out in the woods like that. Yeah, I used to go after all that stuff. When I was just in North Carolina at the river, when I was throwing the rocks in the water, we spotted this creature, and I can't remember the name of it. It's such a strange name, but it looked like a large salamander, but it was like a foot long. I'm not even kidding. It's like devil something or hell something. So if anyone in chat knows what those are called, let us know. But I can't remember what it's called. I'd never seen it before. Apparently they're very rare.
A hell salamander? Let's see. No,
Yeah.
that's a hell bender, perhaps.
Hellbender. Yeah.
Hellbender, that's it.
All right, got it pulled up. Let's go. This thing is. Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
A hellbender.
A hellbender.
Ah, interesting. He's
Yeah, I
kind
don't
of cute.
believe
Look at
it.
his face.
Well, the cartoon is cute. This guy will eat your face off.
No, he won't. He's a little salamander.
Cute. Death.
Like a foot long.
No, I'm used to like these weird ass creatures, so that doesn't scare me. No.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad you survived, Warren.
I did.
Congratulations on your bravery.
Well done.
All right. Let's get into it, gentlemen. We got a lot to talk about today. So it's time for my favorite segment, your favorite segment, everybody in the world's favorite segment. It's time for Hard News. All right. In the world of YouTube, we had a noticeable death in the last day or so. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's currently trending on Twitter. Paul Harrell. Are you familiar with Paul Harrell? Heard of this gentleman before? Well, Paul Harrell was a very popular gun tuber. He is a 2A guy who was a very popular channel, over 1 million subscribers. And before you ask, no, he did not die by the gunshot. He died from cancer, unfortunately. But I think it's how he announced, kind of most noticeable about this, or notable about this, is that he simply posted a video that said, "I'm dead." And if that's not a clickbait-worthy title, then I can't tell you what is. It's so the video is about 5-6 minutes long, and he kind of talks about it. He recorded the video back in the fourth quarter last year. I think it was December of last year. I watched it last night. It showed up on my algorithm. And anyways, it's kind of noticeable. You know, it's interesting to see how he announced it. He's like, "Look, I got pancreatic cancer, and the reason I got this over here, my crutch is I fell, but it's because my bones are brittle, and I'm letting you know now. I'm recording this now, so when I die, you know, my family members can release this video and post it." And that video currently is actually number 2 on trending right now. And as Razor points out, this is good news. A firearms channel is trending at number 2 on YouTube's front page. Now, there's better news. It's Paul Harrell. We'll miss you, boss. So he was a I don't necessarily think Razor meant like better news that Paul Harrell is dead, but it's more so he was a fan of his. I just thought this was interesting to talk about, just as far as a noticeable death in the YouTube space that maybe we didn't necessarily know about. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about online content creation, is that there are people that are very big deals within their communities, to the point of 1 million people subscribing to them, 1 million people having thought so much of them to follow their content, but a vast majority of people have never ever heard of this person before. Have you guys, I don't know, any thoughts on number one, the release of the video? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, one, I think it's a baller move on his part, the way he did it, but I think it shows a transition that we're seeing right now. For a long time, if you go back to movies from like the 70s, you'll notice that a lot of these movies are sort of structured like stage plays, because they were still thinking of video and video content as being a transitory form of stage content. Like, we're just filming what's happening on a stage. I think in the early days of YouTube, there was this idea that what we were creating on YouTube was just an online low budget version of what was on TV. It was like low budget Jackass. It was low budget, social commentary. And instead, I think where we've actually moved is disintermediated social networks is really what's happening online. And the way I word this is, when I am creating my channel, I am having a disintermediated conversation with my audience in which they can choose to listen to one side of a conversation from anyone they want in a world who is like maximized for their social relation and whatever they want to learn or whatever emotional state they're attempting to masturbate within that moment. And when you understand that these are genuinely social relationships, like people use the term parasocial to try to dismiss it because it's a one-way social relationship. But these individuals who we touch with our content, they then go out there and create their own content. And while it may be consumed by fewer people, it's still part of this larger disintermediated conversation that our society has become. And so I think that it showed a lot of class and understanding of the medium to engage the audience in this very personal way with something that was so personal to him, his death, which shows, I think, a lot of understanding of both the media, but the relationship we all have with our audience.
Warren,
Mm-hmm.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting to think about looking back at the era of television, like you said, Craig, about how someone might have 1 million followers, but no one knows who that person is except those 1 million people. It's such a fascinating thing that we've gotten to today. I think it's because it used to be like this, a network was like a single circuit. And then you would have like a fishing celebrity or a fishing, an entertainer, like a car enthusiast show on that circuit, but that circuit had to just thrive through that singular audience. Now you have all these little mini circuits within themselves that, so it's allowed all this niche growth that I think it's going to overtake. I think it already has overtaken older forms of entertainment. But what Razorfist said within that response that was interesting about, I think he was alluding to about how interesting to see a gun tuber actually trending for once. And correct me if my understanding is wrong, but I had heard that there has been a change in the terms of service on YouTube around gun content that is really going to affect gun YouTube channels heavily.
Yeah, so you are 100% correct. This has been building for several years, and so much so that gun tubers, from what I understand, and I may be off on this, but from what I understand, monetization of quote unquote gun content is no longer viable on YouTube. So much so that prior to starting Side Scrolls, I've talked about how I worked in the firearms space for a year. And one of the things that we were looking to do was build a YouTube alternative, because we all saw this coming, a YouTube alternative specifically for the 2A space. But yes, this is something that, gun tubers, they certainly, they're certainly in trouble as far as monetization, which I think is exactly what YouTube wants, right? But going back to Paul's channel itself, like think about when people talk about their individual channels, they say like, what is the mission of your channel? Like, what is your channel, right? And ours is like we create content for the normal man, right? Normal man is like who our audience is. We understand who they are. But when you look at his channel in particular, it says real firearms information for citizens. Like that's about as like bare bones as you can get it, but it's right to the point. It tells you exactly what it is. Like no propaganda, it's straight in there, and it's for people who live, for citizens in the United States. And I think that really drives home the authentic nature, for Paul and his audience. You see Magnum come in and says "Rip to Paul Harrell," right? And there's a lot of folks who who have that relationship. Anyways, just really interesting way to kind of say goodbye to your audience. And he will, his channel will continue. His family's going to try to continue the legacy as best they possibly can. Most of the time in a situation like that, it doesn't hit home, because when you're subscribing to a channel that's Paul Harrell, you're not necessarily subscribing to Jeff Harrell, right? Or whoever, right? So we'll see how the channel goes. So, okay. So we had one guy who had a genuine relationship with his audience who passed on. And then we had the Huak Tuah girl. Have you guys been following the ongoings with the Huak Tuah girl?
I'm interested to learn of the more recent developments. I know the base story, the lore, but I'm
he knows the lore.
The lore. It is lore at this point, though.
Okay,
Get on that thing.
I think we all kind of giggled at it when it first happened, the whole Huak Tuah thing, and it was like, oh, good for her, But I think the vast majority of folks are kind of like, all right, I think I've seen enough of you at this point. Except for her, because now she's launching a brand new podcast. And I got to be honest, the name of it is actually pretty genius. It's called Talk Tuah.
It's perfect.
That is good.
It's pretty genius. So here is the teaser for Talk Tuah.
Y'all really thought I was done? I'm just getting started, baby. I'm Haley Welch. A little while ago, my life took a complete left turn and it changed forever. And along the way, I've realized that everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Well, now it's my time to talk. Check out my podcast every week, Talk to Them, where I'm sitting down with the coolest guests and having actual conversations with them.
So there you go. There's your teaser trailer for Talk Tuah. I think the best thing, personally, I feel the best thing about this is probably the name itself.
Well,
go ahead, Malcolm.
I've just been really surprised at how efficiently. I mean, I know a lot of people talk down about her as a character, but as somebody in like the online content space, just because you go viral for one little thing doesn't necessarily mean that you can capture that and turn that into a persistent brand. And the thing she went viral for, like it was big, but it wasn't particularly bigger than some of the times I've gone viral for something. But her ability to totally capture that, turn it into a number of localized events. And then, because that's what she was focused on at first, like appearing at like, I think sort of like college party, sort of summer events. And then now turn that into potentially a persistent podcast and form of revenue, I think belies a real sort of cunning in this individual. And I quite admire that she's been able to put this together.
Well, apparently she signed with Logan Paul and his media company to do this. So you may be asking yourself, Warren, you may be saying, hey, that sounds like a pretty good trailer. There's 15 million views on this trailer, right? So what does that mean for that? It's converted to 3,000 followers over on X. And more specifically, what's that convert to over on YouTube? And on YouTube, those 15 million impressions have converted to just about 6,000 subscribers. So to me, this tells me that there's not a whole lot of interest in Talk Tuah with Haley Welch.
I will say she's been refreshing for sure, because I follow her on Instagram and she's not doing any sort of drama or anything. She's just kind of having fun. And from what I've seen, she's just trying to also help like animals at the pounds and things, get food for them, try to help dogs get adopted. So at least she's using her fame for good and for just entertainment and nothing sleazy or like OnlyFans. So I will give her credit on that. She's not doing OnlyFans or anything yet.
Warren, what were you gonna say?
Well, the fact that Blabs is following her on Instagram, that's an important data point. So it's working in a sense. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I know everyone. Everyone was seriously, and I understood this too. I was like, there's no way she's gonna be able to monetize this, because yeah, I had a little moment of virality. I wouldn't compare it to that. And I was thinking, okay, what do I do? How do I try and make something of this? And she was facing the same questions, but apparently she was approached by this team. I was shocked by just that aspect. Then her laying out her plan. Suddenly we saw her over the summer on Bill Maher, which was shocking to me that he would have her on. I just thought, how is this happening? She's on the phone with like Matt Rife. So I think that, yeah, we haven't seen the conversion yet, but she hasn't released that first podcast. I think her authenticity is what is going to drive it, as long as she holds on to that. I'm not going to judge it really, but I think she's positioned she's well positioned right now for this to take off though.
And I also think it's important to note how difficult it is to AstroTurf YouTube. One of the videos that I've done is on Classically Abby, and anybody who's on YouTube remembers that period where like everybody saw Classically Abby ads every time they signed into YouTube. And if you look at her videos now, she does like one a week, and I think it gets like 3,000 to 5,000 views. I think it's like 2,000 to 3,000 views the last time I checked on average. And so just like really never was able to convert into a mainstream audience. So you really cannot force something like YouTube. You have to be producing content that people are actually wanting to watch. And so I think Warren's totally right on this. Is she able to do that, or is she not? She's got the seed audience. The question is, can she build from there, and can she produce with consistency? And I think being forced, likely due to the contract she has, that second part's going to be a lot easier for her than it probably was for people like us who are doing all this independently. You're muted.
You muted, Craig.
Yeah, I was just talking to myself. I was just thinking that the conversion rate alone, based off this, like there's a virality to it. And then I think there's a big difference between seeing something and laughing at it and then wanting to be invested in it, right? Blab's following her, I think, is an interesting thing, right? Okay, cool. I like, you want to see a peek into her life. You just don't care about any substance that she has.
To be
right?
fair, the reason I followed her in the first place was because I was trying to get her on the show.
Of course, of course.
Oh.
I reached out about being a podcast guest, by the way, as soon as I saw she had started one.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the reality is that it would legitimately benefit her to like probably come on the show, right? Because I think that potentially grow her audience.
And I just never unfollowed, and I don't know, I've not seen anything bad, right? Like I'm not defending her or anything. I've just genuinely, from what I've seen, she's kind of a nothing burger. If she finds success, good for her.
Did you guys see the footage, the paparazzi footage when she was shopping in New York? It's mind blowing. I don't understand it. She comes out of a store where she was shopping, and it looks like she's a movie star. There's legit paparazzi following her, and some people.
Oh, that was at peak. I remember she went to New York City right when all that stuff was happening within that month. You know, the whole going viral. Yeah, wild.
Huh. Okay. Well, good for her. Like I said, I don't like to see people fail. I like to see people succeed, and ultimately, the market will always decide. They will always.
I agree,
decide.
though. It's mind blowing, dude. It does not make any sense.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah.
AJ came in and says, "Imagine if she's super classy and talks using posh upper class hoity-toity English on her podcast, right? Instead of Huak Tuah." All right. Thanks,
Well, I mean, if you think about it, she's actually filling a really sort of abandoned market niche right now, which is of the
spitting on
party.
penises.
Well, no, the party girl.
That's
I
not
mean, like, we
abandoned.
used to have like Kesha and stuff like that, but all of the last generation of party girls have sort of aged out of being able to talk authentically to that scene.
Yeah, it's like Call Her Daddy. She's probably going to be trying to be the next Call Her Daddy, I think.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fun. I guess we'll see what happens here in the next 3 to 6 months. Flickerbox says YouTube these days is like if public access TV got drunk, threw up on itself, and then somehow convinced people it was still worth watching. Thanks, Flickerbox. Appreciate that. And Magnum came in and says, Blabs, you're only partially mentally incapable, which is why we love you. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, let's go to look, we normally want to talk about this, but we're getting into some gossip today. And Blabs really wanted to talk about this today. So we're going to talk about it. And
I want to preface that the reason we're going to talk about this is because I actually despise the female individual. That's all. Go on, Craig.
Okay. Well, then how about you guide us through this story here?
Okay, so as you guys are well aware, unless you live under a rock, Taylor Swift has been dating this football dude, I don't even know, Travis Kelce, for what? Almost a year, I want to say at this point, or it feels like a year with all the news and the paparazzi. But lo and behold, supposedly there are leaked documents. Now, this is all allegedly, but the documents are in that photo, whether they are, verified or not. That's the thing. But supposedly they have a PR contract that they will be breaking on September 18th, saying we are breaking up. So all of this was just a scam. All of this was just to get money to the NFL and all the Swifties to move over to football.
Well, my 10-year-old is going to be really sad because her favorite team is the Chiefs because
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It worked.
Of course it did. Of course it did. Yeah.
I don't like her because she's got this weird cult following that no one can ever criticize her. None of her fans can ever say, that song was trash. That outfit was not good. They do not criticize a little tiny thing. It's like, you're a fan. You're allowed to criticize. That's what makes a fan a fan. You are in a cult. That means everything is amazing and fantastic.
Warren, you got any thoughts on this? Are you surprised by the idea that this was all set up, or it could have been a setup?
I've had my suspicions, but there's no hard logical evidence to point to yet. So I would be foolish to talk about it, but I'm intrigued to see what we have.
Malcolm?
My understanding is that contracts like this used to be common in the entertainment industry in the age of engineered celebrity status, like early Paris Hilton career type stuff. I had gotten the impression that they had fallen out of favor simply because this type of drama, i.e. the type of drama that comes from like tabloids and stuff, doesn't actually drive attention in the way it used to. But I could be wrong about that. What I do know is that false controversy is really common. So, for example, when Vice went bankrupt, it came out that a lot of what they would do is they would engineer drama with people who they were doing pieces on, where both sides knew what was happening and were talking to each other behind the scenes to create that drama. And I've even looked at doing that a few times myself, as trying to engineer a fight with someone. I've just never had the stomach to go through with it. But what I would say is I knew the engineering fight thing was happening. But the fake dating thing, I thought that was a thing of the past. That's going to be pretty surprising to me that it's still happening.
Well, to even further that, supposedly Travis's Kelsey, like PR, whoever it is, his contract or whatever, accidentally outed themselves saying, "Oh yeah, we've done this before."
Well, of course they have.
So it's like, you are an idiot, because now everyone's going to know what you're up to. No one's going to believe anything else you do in the future. Like whoever you date, it's like, oh, it's a PR stunt. Nobody cares.
Well, okay, hold on. Did anybody stop watching WWE when it turned out all that was fake? Or did anybody stop voting Democrat when they stopped hosting their primaries? Like, we all know it's fake now. We just go along with it at this point.
That is a true point. It is a true point. Valid.
It's all fabricated. It's all fabricated. Well, there we go. I guess we'll see who will be the bad guy in that situation. Travis Kelsey, right? Even if they're like, it's amicable, everything's fine. Like ultimately, the Swifties.
The guy's always the bad guy,
all
right?
males are bad. Come on, man.
And he's white, so like, yeah.
But logically, it would have had to have been Taylor Swift who made the decision, because he was like in the audience, he was going for it, right? And maybe he probably is genuinely attracted to her and saw allure in that and everything, and saw opportunity. But her team caught wind of that. They had not even met before they caught wind of that. There's logical evidence of that much, we know. So the PR, they had to make a decision consciously. Okay, what do we do here? Do we move forward or not? And then they met. Like it's undisputable. So it's on her side, the action or not.
I'm just waiting for another Warren video to come out where he does a whole like analysis of the Taylor Swift PR stunt, and it's gonna be fantastic.
You know what's interesting about this is the idea that the Kelsey brothers, Travis and I don't remember his other brother's name.
The other dude.
They have a podcast, and in the last week, they just signed a 3-year, $100 million deal. And I guarantee that podcast would not have the viewership and the listenership that it had if it wasn't for Travis Kelce's relationship with
the amount of
Taylor Swift.
sponsorships, commercials he's done since dating her.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much money in this.
Yeah. I mean, he's sponsored by Pfizer. He's sponsored by a number of different things. Anyways, well, thanks for that, Blabs. It's
Taylor Swift sucks 2024.
All right, sounds good. All right. Speaking of sucking, the Minecraft movie trailer was released today. I'm not a big Minecraft guy. I've only played Minecraft for about an hour in my life. I know some people are huge, but I will tell you this. Jack Black is in this
again,
and nobody here has seen nobody here's seen the trailer for this yet. Have you?
I have seen the trailer, but I want to watch it live.
Okay, sounds good. Let's check it out for the first time. It's called A Minecraft Movie. Here we are. All right, hold on. Was that Jason Momoa?
Yes, it was. But you've not seen this, Craig?
I'm sorry, what?
You've not seen this?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is Jason Momoa
I think he's a tranny. I don't know, man.
I don't think they can do that. I don't think that non-trans people are allowed to play trans people in woke movies. I'm just trying to lay out the new rules, okay? I don't know how they work.
We're just following the new guidelines.
What? Okay. All right. Black does play Minecraft Steve in this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's Minecraft.
Can you
Steve.
boost the volume just a little bit for the chat?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Right this way.
Okay.
Hey, I'm open to giving it a shot. It doesn't look intrinsically bad.
Keyword intrinsically.
Here's the thing. It's gonna be fucking huge.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be huge, right? And I don't know, Warren, are you a Minecraft person?
No. You showed me Gladiator 2 and now this. I don't understand what's happening to our world. They clearly just saw Barbie succeed. They're like, well, hell, we can do anything with toys. That's in now. We're going to do Barbie geared for younger, like for kids or whatever.
The chat is it looks horrible. You're right. It looks horrible, but it's designed for children, right? And children are going to see the colors, and they're going to see Jack Black. I'm Steve, and they go ha 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 ha, and they're going to laugh, and kids will eat this up. I mean, you got to remember, you gentle normal man, you are not the target audience for this. The target audience is the 8 to 13-year-old who is going to beg their mom to go see this film. And you know what? Unless something drastic happens, this movie's going to make $1 billion. That's my prediction. And we can laugh at Jack Black all day long, and we probably should. But this movie's going to be big because it's solely based off of the IP itself.
It's like a bad Jumanji movie.
Did the Angry Birds movie do well? I thought it did pretty poorly, and it was based off of a similar popular app ecosystem.
Okay, so I think the Angry Birds and Minecraft are two totally different levels. Minecraft is one of the most popular video games ever, like literally ever. I think it's the most sold video game ever, and it's still, people say it's 15 years ago. No. Minecraft is still it's more popular now than it's ever been. It's, it is giant.
Angry Birds did well, by the way, is what was put in the chat here. So
yeah.
Yep, $352.3 million box office.
Yeah.
Also, Minecraft. Jack Black is also good. I mean, to me, I like most of the movies Jack Black has been in. So,
yeah, I mean, he's had his hits and he's had his misses. It's Jack Black. It's Jack Black playing Jack Black. It's like
He's really been like
the better movies.
He's been the star actor for video game movies, almost. Sort of count Jumanji, if you will, but then like Mario. Now this,
right?
He's getting a lot of them in there.
One thing I found very interesting about the trailer is when I saw it, I was like, okay, this is like generic diverse cast. And one of the things that's been very interesting that I noticed recently is the qualifications of generic diverse cast have changed really radically since the 90s. And this was made clear to me when I was watching Magic School Bus with my kids, and I noticed there was a kid in a wheelchair in it. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. Kid in a wheelchair used to be core part of classic diverse group. And Kid in a Wheelchair has disappeared.
That's a good point.
Where is Kid in Wheelchair? Minecraft?
Where is Kid in Wheelchair? I just want everyone to have like massive blowback on this for not having Kid in Wheelchair. Like they just forgot somehow, and everybody is focused on this one diverse character who's not appearing anymore.
I found him. I found Kid in Wheelchair. There he is. I got my Dungeons and Dragon guy in wheelchair.
He's still not even painted yet. He's naked.
Of course, he's gonna be naked for a long time. Anyways, listen, we need to bring back where is Kid in Wheelchair? Hashtag where is Kid in Wheelchair?
Even Lego's doing that. Kid in Wheelchair.
Just saying, it's ridiculous. Looking at the Jason Momoa character here, okay. If you have the long hair by itself, that's one thing. It's the pink jacket, I think, which is throwing me off, because he's very clearly trying to mimic the style of whatever this character is here, right, on his shirt. He's obviously like some sort of fanboy. So I think that's what they're going for here. And there's the natural like what the hell's happening with Jason Momoa, right?
This is what I want to see from Jason Momoa. I want it played straight. I want his character is supposed to be a kid, just like any of the other kids, who just is like that larger kid, and I just want that played straight throughout the entire movie.
Oh my god, what if it's like he was actually a little girl, kind of like what they did with Jumanji, where it was a young woman and then she became a dude. They might actually do that. That could be like Jason Momoa's character.
This
A
does.
little girl.
Can we just talk about this cast really quick? Like, how are these people related? Right? You have a young boy. What's that?
Maybe they're friends.
Okay, then let's talk about that for a second. Just on surface level. What is two, let's say this kid's 12 years old. The girl's probably 12 or 13 as well. What are they doing hanging out with a 35-year-old dude in a pink jacket and this random lady over here in a sweat outfit? Like, well, how are you friends? At a certain point as a parent, aren't you like, hey, you probably shouldn't be hanging out with those people?
Rumors. Mr. Beast's crew. What if it's just like they're actually all kids, and then once they go through that door, whatever, some of them become like adults.
My guess is that it's izakaya rules. I can never
Isekai?
remember. Yeah, and that they're probably taken from different parts of the Minecraft fandom and are supposed to be representative of the broader Minecraft fan base.
Warren?
I'd be curious to see if this is the official trailer because there's so little sense of the story. Like we're all wondering who these characters are, what are they doing here? It's just showing us the visuals and the style of it. How long is this? Oh, it's a minute.
Yeah, just a
30?
teaser.
That's they're going to release another one, given that because we're so far away from the release date and there's so little story within this trailer. This seems to be more of a teaser for visuals.
Yeah, so it's coming out April 4th. So it's
IMAX.
still
we got a while.
Still a long way away. So okay. I mean, okay, there's my prediction. $1 billion. I bet this makes $1 billion. And it's gonna be huge. Gonna be huge. It is what it is.
Just imagine all the new Lego sets, right? Because Lego has partnered with Minecraft. There's gonna be tons of stuff, tons of merch. There's probably gonna be like a DLC or something for Minecraft, whatever. Big.
Minecraft, a Minecraft movie, Minecraft DLC in the game. Hey, AJ came in and says, I hope Detonated Wham kids had a cameo. If that's a Minecraft reference, which I guess it is, apparently there's a ton of Minecraft references in this trailer, which I don't understand. So that'd be great. Mercenary says, Razorfist warned us about Hollywood strip mining video games for movies after the Mario movie. Super Mario at least was whole family fun, if you ask me. Yeah, the Mario movie I thought was great. And by the way, it's still a top 10 movie on Netflix today. And that movie's been out for 18 months now? It's still a massive movie, extremely popular.
Oh, that's a great question. Somebody in the chat says, check the dislike ratio, like the video on YouTube.
Okay.
I don't have that extension.
I will. I'll look at that here in just a second. While we do that, I'll tell you what, Blaps, why don't you read from... read some of these real quick.
David says, it's Moa. Like, it's ma'am. It's Moa. That's hilarious. Thanks, David.
It's ma'am, Moa.
It's ma'am. I see some of these Concord ones that I will wait till the end. Mercenary says, Minecraft movie, total hard pass. Too much nope for me. Rin says, yeah, the movie's just as bad as the game. I mean, I kind of... Minecraft is a meh game for me. I'm like, it's all right. It's not terrible, but it's not the greatest. Lampshade on Taylor Swift says, only okay thing that Taylor Swift's done in the past decade was introduce Van Halen for 2015 Billboard Awards. At least she moved aside for a better act. Thank you for that. Let's see. I could talk about the Hollywood cult and fake controversy issues for days. Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love that.
Norm says, I saw the Taylor Swift breakup happening from planet Pluto. Well, apparently you can't even call Pluto a planet anymore, so... Yeah.
Are they breaking up?
I don't know, that was the rumor. That's kind of...
Yeah, that was the part of the thing where they're actually going to break up September 18th.
Oh.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is the trailer on YouTube. You can see down here, 158,000 thumbs up, 125,000 thumbs down. So,
damn.
So, usually when you see a ratio, the ratio is far worse than this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think this movie's gonna kill.
I think so too. I'm just surprised that there's already that many downvotes.
Well, it's number one on trending. It's been out for 3 hours and that has almost 2 million views. So, you okay there, Malcolm?
Yeah, sorry, a little ill.
A little ill.
I'll mute more.
That's okay. It's all right, buddy. All right, let's go and continue. Hey, let's hear Blabs talk about her. We need a Harry Potter intro for you, Blabs. We need a
Just
All right. Now's the part of the show where I say, Blabs, go crazy. Blabs, what are we talking about today with Harry Potter?
Okay, so yesterday was the official launch of Harry Potter Quidditch Champions, which is basically a new edition of a Quidditch video game.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was, this game could have been amazing, but they didn't market this game whatsoever. They only just started announcing it like 3 months ago. And 5 days, or about 5 days, before the actual video game was released, did they only release a gameplay trailer showing you how this game is played. It's like, are you guys insane? You guys should have done showcases, a whole bunch of marketing, because this, whether you like Harry Potter or not, that's totally your opinion. I respect it, but it's one of the biggest franchises in the world. So you would think that this thing would be doing well, and instead it had a shitty launch. People on Xbox and PlayStation couldn't access it for hours, mind you. Then they were like, it's fixed, you have to reboot your console. But even then, on Steam, the peak is not even 7,000 players yet. And it's like, dude, this game's been out for 24 hours and you can't even hit 10,000 players on Steam? This game is free to play on PlayStation for the entire month of September. And no one's playing this game. It's impressive. I'm amazed. I'm shocked, honestly, because, well, yes, questions. Craig first.
Yes. It's Quidditch.
Yeah, I know, but here's the thing. Harry Potter fans are insane.
I mean, are they?
Hello?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Warren, what do you think about this?
I didn't know that it was free to play on PlayStation. I was about to buy it.
If you have
today.
a subscription, yes, like the subscription for PlayStation, then it's free to play for the entire month of September.
Okay. All right. I would love to hear your thoughts at some point on like a bit. Like, what do you think of the game? What are you? Okay. What what sucks about it?
Well, I will say, so I was involved in 6 playtests, and what I thought was going to be involved in this game, I was absolutely disgusted with. But so far, it's not in the game. I don't know if they're going to do a patch for it later on, but whatever the case is, it's pretty focused only on the IP itself, no agenda. Let's just put it that way. But the actual gameplay is not that great. Now, they've even said it that there are bots in this game. So it's not like you're really playing with other players. Like you are, but there's also bots and you have to switch back and forth between roles. And it's a bit complicated. So me personally, I don't particularly like it. I have nostalgia for the original video game from 2003 because that's what I grew up with. It's very easy, super easy video game, but it's cute, right? It's from 2003, member berries. But this game, besides the fact that you look like you're in Fortnite with the animation because it's so terrible and looks like a cheap mobile game, you have like these broom flying things. Like, what is that? Like you're a jet? You have fuel? Like, it's just it for me. It's very cheap looking game.
So you don't see any potential longevity here. Like, there's not going to be a level of skill that actually attracts people.
No, especially because from the developers. So spoiler, I'm working on a deep dive on the company Unbroken Studios. This is their 4th project, and 3 out of the 4 projects have failed so far. So like, I'm not expecting anything. This company also worked on Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad failed $200 million. Their other 2 projects do not exist anymore. They both flopped. So, yeah.
So one of the things that was immediately drawn to my attention when I saw this came out is a question as to whether contractually this is why Quidditch is not in Hogwarts Legacy.
Yes.
Oh wait, it is why?
It has to be the reason, because we were saying it. So when they announced in Hogwarts Legacy that there was no Quidditch or anything, and everyone I knew was all, oh, there's a video game being made. Most definitely. There is some alternate video game coming out that they're going to focus on Quidditch. And it was a terrible idea because everybody wants to play Hogwarts Legacy, like that graphic style, with Quidditch, which I think would have been fantastic, in my opinion. But
yeah.
It was just no. So instead of that, now they're working with a studio that has 3 out of 4 flops. I'm like, good job, guys. Go team.
Well, it's gonna bolster Hogwarts Legacy's studios, because what it's going to do for the Hogwarts Legacy studio is it's going to amplify that just the Harry Potter brand isn't why it was successful. It was specifically what they did with the Harry Potter brand, which is going to give them more creative control over the next project, which one gets me a little excited for that. So in a way, this is a good thing.
There is a Hogwarts Legacy 2 in the works.
Yeah. The other thing that I noted about this, which I think was absolutely stupid of them, is nobody had heard of this game. Nobody knew this game was coming out. And that's actually really surprising, given that if they had just played into the controversy, they could have built a giant media buzz in the same way Hogwarts Legacy does. The controversy sells itself. You don't even need a media team. This is why I always, like, personally, whenever I'm doing the media rounds, I lean into controversy, because that's the one thing that really sells these days and gets people talking about something. You cannot be holistically positive about it. And if you're playing into a controversy like the, J.K. Rowling controversy, which isn't even about the content of your game, it's going to do a great job of drawing people to you. But now the controversy is server problems and stuff like that. Like, how can you have such a boring controversy with a Harry Potter game? You have such a fruitful field to work with. I'm almost impressed.
Yeah, it is impressive. That's what I'm saying. Like last night when I was looking at the viewership, because I was looking on Kick, on Twitch, on YouTube, the viewership for Twitch alone last night had less viewers than my latest Quidditch Champions video did on my tiny ass YouTube channel. I was like, damn. So like they had 2,000 people watching last night for the first day out on Twitch. That's abysmal. Like this thing's out in Europe, US, Canada, Australia. Like that's a lot of people who could play this game. Millions of people could access this game, and you got nobody playing it. It's very impressive just to look at and go, how did you fail? How did you mess this up so miserably? This should have been easy, at least just to try it out first 24 hours. And then if you don't like the game, whatever. But like, damn, it's just, I don't know. I think it's all impressive regardless of the IP.
Well, I mean, regardless of the IP, the potential for controversy, I think what this highlights is one of the ways to create hit games in the modern environment is specifically to advertise and create marketing towards the Twitter mob that's going to freak out, because that freak out about you doing non-PC things Twitter mob does more to sell and promote a product than any other force on the internet right now, which is a complete 180 from what we're dealing with. And I think we'll talk about some other cases of this recently, where it used to be you wanted to cater to the Twitter mob, and now you want to explicitly bait the Twitter mob, and that's how you create a hit.
Yeah, that's a great point. Warren, any closing thoughts on Quidditch Champions?
I'm disappointed to hear the numbers. I mean,
Impressive.
Another thing to note, I saw last night on Steam though, there is cooperation between Hogwarts Legacy, because you get an exclusive Sebastian character with the broom and all that stuff. So it's disappointing, but I'll see if I can get it for free. Did you say it's free for 24 hours?
For the month of September, if you have a PlayStation, like that subscription pass, you get like those 3 free games for the month. Quidditch Champions is one of the 3 free games. But what Warren is saying, guys, if you're curious, if you have Hogwarts Legacy and you want to play like Quidditch Champions, all you have to do is link your accounts, and you can actually get like the free Sebastian Sallow skin and a couple other stuff, which is very interesting because he's a murderer, and everyone's like, he's amazing, and it's like, you want the murderer for this game, okay? Weird shit. The end. Thanks, Craig.
I appreciate your passion about it. I do. It's great. Listen, Nikki came in and says the Quidditch game is part of the 3 free games of the month, so I got it for free and keep it as long as I keep PSN. Thanks, Nikki. Appreciate you. Yep. Absolutely. Look at this. Gear came in with a $50 super chat blast. Please read that off while never mind. There you go. Look at that. That's spectacular.
Gear says, good evening, everyone. May we celebrate this Concord shutdown speedrun with a gold star, Craig.
Well, here's a star for you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this on the wall and draw a little star on it for you there, Gear. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Wait, we're going back on the wall over here.
You covered the star with your thumb.
Look at that. There it is. There's your little star.
That is a sad little star. I'm just saying.
Christmas star gear. Or in
It
black.
looks like a dying. Was it Lumi from Mario? Is that what the little star is called?
Yeah, absolutely. And you
Dying.
know what? You know what I'm going to do? There we go. How about this? How about that? Does that make you feel better, Blabs? Now he's sad. Congratulations.
Aw.
What a jerk. Ridiculous. Hey, Benjamin came in, says, Gregory, can we get a Concord camera, please? Stream, please. Just have the games on display case while being streamed on camera. It'll be entertaining. You know, I'm glad you asked that because I have added a Concord cam here for us if we want to put it on there. So so you guys can just, oh, sorry about that.
Sorry, I just removed Warren.
we can just keep that Concord cam there at all times. So, but maybe just for a little bit. Hey, Gear, thank you very much for that. Go keep reading these off there. There you go. Now we're talking.
I'm in the middle. There you go. All right, let's see.
Hey, speaking of Concord, we're going to get into that in just a second. So stick around a little bit longer. And of course, we have we're going to talk a little Star Wars here in just a second as well. So. Fire away,
All right. Dwight says there's a lot of groomers in the Minecraft community. Maybe Mo is dressing for that part. Oh my god. Yeah, but Hollywood would never allow that to happen. But that'd be hilarious. Old Man Grim says, so when Craig bought all those useless copies of Conquer, is that what this Brat Summer thing I've been hearing about is?
No.
Your Brat Summer.
Thanks, old man Grim.
Yeah, these are all pertaining to Concord except for Norm. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Craig. Insert clip of Joe Pesci saying, what the fuck is this piece of shit for the Minecraft trailer? And Benjamin says, Grand Aunt did watch WWE for the fights. Epic. Thanks.
All right. All right. Goodbye, Concord Cam. You're going away. Maybe we'll return to you later some other time. Okay, let's move on. Let's actually talk a little Concord here for a minute. Now, Warren, Malcolm, I know you guys aren't like following the gaming community like every day, all the time, constantly. So Warren, what do you know about Concord the game? Have you heard about this game at all? Do you know anything about it?
No, I have not. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, that's actually very telling. So this game Concord was released for the PlayStation 5 11 days ago. 11 days ago. Now this is a $40 game that was released, and when the trailer was first dropped, it was definitely not met with a positive outlook on it. This is a game that is number one, very ugly. Number two is fairly dated in the way its gameplay style is, and then to kind of the cherry on top of it is that there's a lot of like DEI that's thrown into the game. Like robots have pronouns. Every character is some sort of pronouns. There's like they just try to squeeze this stuff in, right? So what has happened with the game Concord is the gaming community emphatically has rejected the game to half court. Now, we see games fail all the time, but we don't see first-party Sony games fail all the time. And this is a game that Sony got behind, and they were releasing a video game controller. I think there was a custom PlayStation 5 that was released, and the game itself was released. And as of yesterday, Sony announced that they're shutting it down 10 days after launch because of the extremely low player count. Now, Warren, when I say extremely low player count, when it comes to a game, what do you think that would be? Well, what is a extremely low player count for a game that is
Quidditch was extremely low, it seems.
I think that's fair.
I also want to interject here because I think you might be underselling just how woke the game was. Out of 16 playable characters, they didn't have a single white male.
Yeah, it was.
Wasn't there just one?
I think there was one, but
I think it was like a green alien guy that was like passively white or based on a white person. It would be like calling Teal'c a black guy. Like, I guess technically.
So, with that said, yes, I may have been underselling the wokeness aspect of it. Now, I personally think that is a surface level reason why the game failed, right? I said this before many times. Ultimately, your first impression is what you see, right? You don't have a chance to play the game if you don't like what you see initially, right? So, I go back to the analogy of like when you were a kid, you look on the back of a box or you look in a magazine and you say, that game looks cool, I want to check it out. Now we look on Twitter or we see a gameplay trailer and we're like, oh, okay, that looks cool. Or, oh, that game looks like crap, right? And we make a decision. We make our first decision. Back to the question, Warren, you said you thought Quidditch was a very low player count.
Yeah.
Right? So if I was to tell you that this game that Sony got behind, this is a major initiative with a controller, custom PlayStation 5, had a total of 50 players playing it right now and less than 1,000 players at its peak. A game that the company itself that was developing the game was acquired by Sony because Sony thought so much of this game that they went in and they bought the company. Like they went and they played this game like, we got to have this game. And they spent X millions of dollars acquiring the company, right? And then they spent 8 years developing this game. And then it released, and the game was out for just as many fingers and fingers as you, not even toes, as many fingers as you have. That's how many days it was out before Sony pulled the plug on it. And on top of pulling the plug, giving everybody refunds back. So they are totally like, they are going to attempt to retcon Concord in a major way and just pretend like it never happened. And yesterday was a very, very, very big day when it comes when it comes to the voice of gamers. I feel like we're going to look back on yesterday and be like, I think that may have been a strong turning point, not for Sony, but for the entire industry, to where you hear people saying over and over again, hey, we don't like what you're putting out. And these developers are saying, no, you're going to like it because we're going to shove it in your face and you're going to like it. Well, that's not what happened with Concord. And I think that was a very, very strong message. So upon hearing that, Warren, before we get to the reaction of the media and everything associated with this, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I can't imagine them making it like the sponsor of the PlayStation 5 and special editions. I wonder what they saw in it when they first played it that would cause them to acquire that. And I wonder how large of a financial hit this is, given how much they spent on it. I'm curious to see what was so flawed about it. I mean, I've heard your criticism so far, but it must be pretty bad.
Well, I would say the biggest thing about the game is that it's $40. Most games in the same market are free to play. So your cost $40, and most games you just kind of pick up and play, or you download and you're in it. The sheer undesirability of the players in the game, the actual characters themselves, kind of the visual look of the game itself. I'm going to hold up the box art here. Right. So this box art here, you can see a guy, it kind of has like a Guardians of the Galaxy style look to it. Right. A couple alien guys. There are some other characters. There's one that looks like a trash can. There's another one that is it looks like a girl, but it's actually a guy and it's like super overweight blabs. You can pull that up. That'd be great. But I want to kind of put this in perspective. So I have an insider who works at a very big retailer across the United States, right? So and they have access to the numbers that the game has sold, the pre-orders, the returns on the pre-orders. And I put this tweet out yesterday. My insider has been very good to me. And I said, regarding Concord, my insider told me in June, July, and August, Concord had only 231 pre-orders company-wide. 91 of them were canceled before the shutdown of the game. So they sold 140 copies of Concord in 900 stores. So that's roughly one copy of Concord for every 6 stores. It's a giant statement, I think, by the gaming audience. I think there's a lot of layers, and like when you hear the media talk about this, you're gonna be like, oh, those bigots online, they got their way, whatever. But nobody here is saying the game failed because of DEI. I think what I'm saying is that it failed because it didn't get people in the door to try it out. The value proposition of $40 wasn't enough to outweigh several free-to-play products that are already better than it, right? And that's the bigger thing. But you got to get people in the door first. But
I would say I think DEI is a big part of the reason it failed. I know that it may have been unpleasing from a gameplay perspective, but the model that it was using is a model that has done well before. If you look at gameplay, it looks responsive and fairly decent to play. I could see it have attracted an audience. I think going into the market these days with this level of DEI is like 5 years ago going into the market was a game that was just obviously like super racist. Not that it wasn't racist, but I mean racist in a way that would have triggered, progressive sensibilities. I think that there is just this, and I will note here, I do not think that people avoid DEI coded games because of the DEI. I think they avoid it in the same way that in the 90s, everybody avoided games that were based off of like movies, where everyone was like, oh, those games are always bad. I think that it just has such a correlation with a really bad gameplay experience in an overpriced game that it codes in the same way that movie licensed games coded in the 90s.
I agree in that just people in the chat are saying like, no, I think DEI played a big role in it, right? I think this goes back to the statement I said before, right? You got to show people a product that they want to play first and foremost, right? And I think the DEI was the window dressing that you see, right? It's the wrapping on the gift that you got, right? And if the gift looks ugly, you don't want to go you go to the store, you want to buy the latest cereal, right? The cereal could be outstanding inside the box, but if the wrapping on it is disgusting or stupid looking, nobody's going to buy it. It's all marketing. And I do think that the marketing failed, and I do think that the DEI aspect of it very much is a big part of that. Now, did Sony go out of its way and be like, look, these characters all have pronouns? No, they didn't. But what happened was social media got a hold of it and said like, wait, why does the robot have they, them pronouns? Right.
They did base one of the characters on a famous trans singer. And I'm sure they paid to license the person's likeness.
Yeah.
This is a character I think called Baz or Mila or something. I don't know. But I am pretty sure that they had planned on using that to advertise. They might just have pushed out.
Possibly. But this goes back to a larger question, right? I think, these games are made for the quote modern audience. You hear this all the time. We're making this for the modern audience. The modern audience does not exist. It is and this has been pointed out many, many times, the idea that it doesn't exist yet, but they're trying to develop this modern audience and make all these things acceptable to a younger audience to where they will eventually be the modern audience, right? The modern audience is this right here. The modern audience is the 42 people who are playing Concord and the 9 people playing Dustborn, right? There is no modern audience. But it's a really fascinating conversation to see the failure associated with this. So much so that when you go to the Concord page on PlayStation.com, the game doesn't even exist anymore. They've totally scrapped the idea of Concord on their website. And the memes of this were outstanding yesterday. We saw all sorts of, like, this came down and Kick was like, hey, exciting news. We just added a Concord category. Stream this game and a new hero shooter on Kick. Reply with your clips. And, people pass that around. It's pretty funny. We saw G Prime, who's been on our show the other day. He's a cartoonist, and he had this. He says, hey, Concord, you doing all right, buddy? Haven't heard from you in a while. And you go up and, the guy's hanging from the rafters up there, unfortunately.
Damn.
That's pretty rough. And then we saw the aspect of people are trying to like level themselves up. And I don't really understand what's happening here, but apparently like Concord players are like, people are in the game, like all the dozens of people who are playing this game are going in and throwing them off cliffs to max to try to grind as fast as they possibly can.
It probably gives one experience per game played, so they're trying to end the game as quickly as possible.
Right. So Yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing that's kind of happening, which
But it's just so dumb because like this game is going to be non-existent. So what's the point of grinding it? Be like, oh, I completed this game that doesn't exist anymore. I'm a hardcore gamer. Like, I don't understand that.
well, maybe they're trying to get the PlayStation trophies.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a thing. You know, they say, hey, I'm the one who got the Concord PlayStation trophy. Like
Maybe.
I'm the guy.
No, just to follow what you said yesterday, how you think it'll actually come back as like a free-to-play game, which I'm kind of like you've kind of convinced me a little bit on that. Maybe somehow their points and things carry over to the free-to-play game, and so they have some type of like bonus perk eventually.
Warren, you're hearing all this for the first time when it comes to this game. I would just love to hear your general thoughts on everything that you've heard so far. By the way, we're going to get to more memes here because they're brilliant. But go ahead, Warren.
It sounds like one of the worst failures in video games that I've ever heard of. That's really, really bad. But it reminds me kind of, we were talking about YouTube and YouTube videos, what makes a good YouTube video. And if it just at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good the title, the thumbnail is, if there's not a solid story, or if the video is not good, and depending on what kind of content you're doing, that's going to mean something different. If the game is not good at the end of the day, I think that is what's going to have the most impact, even more so than DEI elements, which I'm sure there are some of that here, but it sounds like it was just a not good game. They couldn't compete with free to play. So sounds like a big failure to me.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element to that for sure. But let's go ahead and continue here because we saw people, like I said, the memes of this were great. And this is from Ross Tweets Games yesterday. He's like, oh, was nice to get out of the house and leave the internet behind for a bit, did a bit of shopping and finally bought Concord. Can't play until Saturday, but looking forward to trying it out, right? Saw this a lot yesterday where people were like, ooh, laughing about it and stuff. And GameStop was like, well, I got some bad news for you, which was, pretty funny stuff because the game will be shut down in 3 days. So I guess 2 days now. So it's not even going to make it to Saturday. So he can't even try it, that's
crazy.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Go ahead, Malcolm.
I wonder if financially it'd be interesting to compare the failure of this with something like the ET game that was seen as the harbinger of a major change in the way the video game industry worked.
So it's funny you mentioned that because we talked about that at length yesterday. And I think just from a financial standpoint, a publicity standpoint, I think Concord is the biggest flop in video game history. Bigger than ET.
Bigger than ET. Ooh.
Yeah. You know how many copies ET sold?
How many?
1 million. You know how many copies this game sold? 25,000. Right? They didn't make a custom ET controller. They didn't make a custom PlayStation 5. They didn't make special editions. ET wasn't in development for 4 years, whatever it was. The company that was making ET, which by the way was one guy who made ET, the company wasn't acquired because they thought it was such a hit. So I think ET is going to have a bigger impact on the video game industry, but I think that Concord, in every metric, is a bigger failure, possibly the biggest failure in video game history. And that's coming we've had so many failures this year in the video game space. Suicide Squad, Concord, Dustborn to a lower extent. Dustborn wasn't meant to succeed, right? Assassin's Creed is going to fail. Star Wars Outlaws is in a bad place, underperforming. Some say up to 55% lower than what it was expected to sell. We've seen so many failures in the video game space, but we've also, on the other side of things, seen so many successes. Black Myth Wukong being one of the fastest selling games in history, selling 11 million copies in 3 days. And when you look at the polarities between Concord, this kind of DEI dribble, right, with poor window dressing, versus a game like Black Myth Wukong, which is built around crazy monkeys running around, hacking and slashing. Then you got a game like Stellar Blade, which is built around, sexy women with cleavage, doing some hacking and slashing. That game was a tremendous success. you see like the audience is telling you exactly what they want. You know, it's yesterday. It's good games with hot women. Hey, it's real simple.
Yeah, it's interesting. But one, I love, like, who would think that men would want, you know, hot women in their games, right? Like, it's interesting, one, how they've explicitly taken that out of a lot of games. But when you were saying that you thought that it might have a lower impact than ET on the gaming space, I think what's really interesting and what's transitioned societally from the time of the ET crash to this current crash we're having within the games industry right now is that the game space is so large now that if there is a cultural retreat or reset in the game space, it can reset culture societally. And this is something that's been really clear to me when I go to like NatCon or like some other like mainstream Beltway conservative stuff. And they are just completely unaware of the battles that are happening in the game space right now and how much of these battles are going to reset. Because if you look at like the amount of money that's made by the video games industry, I think it's more than any other entertainment industry right now, or is it more than all other entertainment industries combined? I can't remember.
The video game industry generates more revenue than TV and movies combined.
Yeah, so if we're looking at if this is really, if it turns out that appealing to this quote unquote new audience, right, really is a death knell for a product, and companies begin to fastidiously move away from doing this, this will shift not the direction of the game industry, but the directions of the entire social battle we're facing right now, which is really fascinating to me. Part of me wonders if, given how captured these large bureaucracies are, if that's even possible. Because yes, they may realize now, okay, people aren't going to want to buy this, but how can they change course when every layer of their company have thought police? Right? That's something that I keep thinking about. Is it just that they're going to be replaced by Eastern media companies and small game developers? Or is there the real possibility to course correct within the large bureaucracies?
I think I think what you're going to see is, and I think it literally starts with Concord. I think that this is too big of a failure between the $200 million loss of Suicide Squad. I think that if the video game industry doesn't learn from what they've seen from Concord over the last 2 weeks and the build up to it, the video game industry won't learn. Like it's too big of a stab to the abdomen of the video game industry and too much of a sore spot for if other developers, other publishers don't look at Concord and they don't listen, nothing will change. But I do think that if there was ever an opportunity for things to change and for changes to be made inside these companies, and getting rid of all this nonsense, I think this is a great start to do it. Warren, what are your thoughts on the cultural impact of something like this?
I'm trying to. It's hard for me because I haven't seen the game. I mean, I've heard you discuss a bit about the DEI elements. It depends on how extensive those DEI. Okay, all right.
So in this image, this is one of the characters. If you notice at the top right, I know it's a bit hard to see. Let me see if I can try to zoom in. There we go. She, her. This is one of the character designs. These are the other characters.
Interesting. So there's no white men, is what you're saying. All right. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think this guy right here would be considered the whitey.
The whitey. Nice.
I feel like some people have got to. There's going to have to be some people that are fired. It seems like for such a huge mistake. I mean, I think you're right that this is the biggest failure in video game history. I've never heard of anything like this, where you go out and buy the game, come home, and they're like, "Sorry, we're shutting the game down, and we're going to have to refund your money." I've never heard of that. So I'm just asking myself, how much of this was this a boycott versus was this a failed product that didn't, they're two different kind of, or was it a combination? But I think that's when you play these stupid games, it results in a stupid product that inevitably fails. You don't even need that boycott element so much. But I do think that you are correct that there is a lot of frustration amongst gamers, and many people are just not messing with the stuff. So yeah.
You know, Warren, you mentioned the idea of a boycott. The interesting thing about this is that there was no coordinated effort at all to not buy this game. It wasn't like we're not going to buy Concord to stick it to Sony. It was just no. Like the response was like, we don't want this. Nobody wants this. Here are the characters, by the way, and here's here's your white character here. I don't, it's Ranger here, or he/him right here. You can see as it goes along, these are the different characters along the way, and their setups. You can kind of see, they definitely went the diverse route. And like I said, I don't care. Like if I said this yesterday, I don't care about I think diversity is fine, right? Just let's make it realistic. This girl here who is clearly overweight, right, is not going to be a very good action hero, right, in a game. Right? And I realize I'm talking about a game about space aliens and realism, but at the same time, this was a major selling point of this game. That character itself, specifically the overweight one, was one of the marquee characters in the game. And it's like, who are you selling this to? And when you look at the character design here, let's analyze. Oh crap! Let's analyze that character itself. What the hell are we looking at with this character in particular? What the hell is that?
Like scuba diving gear?
I feel like they're targeting Fortnite players, that demographic. The problem is that it's already oversaturated, that marketplace. There's free to play options, and those products they've already taken over. So it's just a doomed business strategy from the get-go.
By the way, they, them.
Yeah, I've never seen that. But have you guys ever seen pronouns in a game before? Is it just me?
Not in a character
Quidditch
selection.
champions.
Well, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, wow.
Just in case you're curious, Warren, just some gameplay for you. Very much like Overwatch.
I love that the pronouns are above their bios and right next to their level. It's the most sort of visually core feature of who they are. Right.
And that's the big thing. Could you imagine if you were, as you're playing this and you're talking in a group chat, right? And you're over here talking about what a cool character. Let's say this character over here is Dave Ears, right? And you're like, I really love how she shoots, can move her around. And somebody on voice chat's like, I'm sorry, you really like how they move around the map.
It's not a real person. It's a 3D character.
What a beating. Nobody wants to get beaten down when they're playing video games. And that's what Concord is. It's an absolute beatdown of a video game. I did want to go back to some of these memes because they are very, very funny. So going back to that meme a second ago from Ross Tweets Games, he had this out. He's talking about how nice it is. You can't wait. And GameStop's like, I have some bad news for you. Well, he's like, you're the one who sold it to me. and GameStop responded so about that, right?
That's some good GameStop tweeting.
Yeah, that's some high quality social media engagement right there. Right. Okay, so here's the thing though, is everybody in the world knew this game was going to fail except for Sony and the media. Everybody saw this was going to fail. And it came out. So this IGN writer, let's go over to that Park Place for this story. It says IGN writer Stella Chung claims PlayStation never believed in Concord after the game is shut down less than 2 weeks ago. So she was upset. The idea that hey, how come you gave this game less than 2 weeks to succeed? My response to her is, do you own 2 copies of Concord? And if not, are you allowed to complain about it? The answer is no, absolutely not. But so she was upset at the idea of this being. It says it's very clear PlayStation didn't believe in this game from the start. She was saying, my heart breaks for Fireworks Studios. The fact that it wasn't given at least 6 months to properly sit through a season and adjust as a proper live service game is insane to me. It's very clear PlayStation didn't believe in this game from the start and support it. Keeping in mind that they had a full marketing campaign. They released a custom controller about it. Like they very clearly had big plans. Keep in mind that Concord will also be featured, a game that will not exist by the time the show runs out. There's literally an entire show that's going to be featured around Concord. There's going to be an episode of a series that's going to be built around the Concord video
Amazon
game.
Prime.
Yeah. So so there's that.
By the way, you can still buy the Concord controller, the limited edition. It's still available on like the PlayStation website if you guys are ever interested and want, you know, some type of collectible.
Sounds like an
And it's a functional
appreciated
collectible.
value if it is a change in the industry and they don't sell a lot of them.
Yep.
I would really appreciate how much the creator of it just takes no responsibility for the failure of the product and deflects to others, even in a delusional context. And I think that that's actually an important part of what I call the urban monoculture, this sort of woke mindset, is the lack of personal responsibility for any failure as sort of a cultural mandate. The other thing I found really interesting was the centering of the pronouns in terms of the character's description, because it shows this idea of the individual's gender and pronouns as being the core aspect of the individual's identity, which is a really interesting sort of feature of the urban monoculture, because I don't think any other culture I've seen centers gender to the individual as much. One of the areas I heard really interesting is they were like, well, so if you talk about the urban monoculture, they don't really believe in the concept of a soul. And when you try to pin them down on stuff like gender and you go, oh, so you're born one gender. And they're like, no, you're not born one gender. It's not like genetic. I'm like, oh, so it's caused by pollutants in the environment. And they go, oh, no, it's not like biological. And so it's like, okay, so it's not genetic and it's not biological, but it's core to who you are. What are you describing here? You're describing a stand-in for a soul. And I think that that's why it's achieved this really important role within their cultural framework, is it's become the stand-in for a soul within the urban monoculture.
Well, the response to this, like I said, there's been a lot of coping over this whole situation, right, with Concord. And we saw this yesterday. This is from Jazz, the RPG Queen, put out this tweet. This is, by the way, level 32, mom, she, her. So good for Jazz. She said, gaming Twitter needs to hear this right now. You think it's cool to hate things. It's not. It's boring. So talk about what you love and keep quiet about what you don't, right? So she posted that. And this response,
I love
I
watching
think...
them sad about this.
What's that?
I love watching them sad about this. This is what I love,
Yeah,
seeing them cry
right.
about this reaction.
Right. So Nightwear over here on Twitter with 591 followers says, and how the fuck am I supposed to do that when the things I love are gradually being scuttled in favor of making more Concords, more Dustborns, and more Star Wars Outlaws? Because the cruel and unfortunate truth is that the more good vibes only people like you are willing to pay for it. Right. This, and I think there's a larger aspect of this, right? When you think about this modern audience, I keep saying it doesn't exist. We all know this doesn't exist, because if they did exist, they would support these modern ideas, right? When you see a game like that, 2 days ago, Malcolm, this idea of the black trans character in Concord was out, right? That was 2 days ago. The next day, it was shut down. You would think that, and clearly they had an idea going into yesterday that they were going to shut this down. It wasn't like a snap decision, right? But you would think that the player count on Steam and on PlayStation, if that was a marketing tool of like, hey, modern audience, we have a trans black person in our game as a character that you can play. Those who are so passionate about it would go out and they'd fork over $40 and support Concord because they believe in it so much. They want to support this so much. But you know what they didn't do is go out and spend $40 on Concord. So shut the fuck up. You know what I did? I spent $80 on Concord. So it's like I'm tired of hearing people complain about things when they don't, and ultimately their actions don't reflect what they're complaining about. And I think that's the moral of a lot of this story here.
I actually have a question for you, Craig.
Yes, Blabs.
What did the missus say when you showed her your 2 new video games of the day?
She hasn't seen them yet, Blabs. Don't tell her.
For real?
No, she doesn't know. She doesn't come back in my box. I got my studio back here, but this is my space, man space,
man
Blaz.
cave?
My man cave.
No. You're about to get in trouble later when she finds out. What did you do? $80.
So, friend of the show, Quarter Black Garrett came in with this tweet, and I think he really hits it here. He says, Star Wars Acolyte, failed. Doctor Who, failed. Star Trek, failed. Indiana Jones, failed. Rings of Power, failed. Dustborn, failed. Concord, failed. Star Wars Outlaws, failed. Starfield, failed. MCU Phase 4, failed. If you black pill, it means you're gay. But he's just kind of pointing out the failures that are tied to a lot of this stuff. You know, specifically a lot of these are built around existing IP. Well, I guess the Indiana Jones, Star Trek, Doctor Who, etc. Those are existing IPs, Star Wars. But the failure, we've seen a lot of failures this year when it comes to these things. And once again, the modern audience is not backing it up. Warren, in your time as a professor, did you see this modern audience that was so willing to support everything that was so modern?
Well, I think what it's a result. Look, earlier we were looking at that movie trailer, which is a pre-established IP.
Mm-hmm.
This is a result, I think, also in gaming. But let's look at movie industry a bit. This is a result of modern Hollywood, where it's become so expensive to make these things through union demands and just overspending. It's just wasteful spending. They are now they're less likely to bank on fresh IP. They're more likely to just bank on pre-established and remakes. That's where we're seeing it more and more and more and more.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a death spiral, it seems. The question is, well, why is that occurring in gaming? Because in gaming, that's where we should not be limited in the same way. So at school, I mean, as a professor or whatnot, you're working with people working on original content, and so it's different because that's what's refreshing about that is people. You're always encouraging people and seeing them actually make things that are original. Because to me, I think all of this pre-established IP remakes, it is just one large death spiral. And the only thing that's going to save us is fresh alternatives, an alternative to Hollywood, as well as, well, I think we do in gaming. We are seeing like sorry, I don't remember how to pronounce it. I haven't played it yet. The monkey game, Wutong or what?
Yeah, Wukong.
Yeah, and like Elden Ring and these games, Baldur's Gate, these games that do hit through, people are seeing innovation, and then you have the people that try and jump on that. But that's what's going to save us in the realm of movies as well, which it all ties together. You know, the gaming and Hollywood.
I think I wanted to kind of pull this up as well, and I feel like this really is a great idea, right? Would you rather play, and this is amazing. I love everything about this. Would you rather play as this character, which is a legendary skin in Concord, right? This is a real character design.
How is that a legendary skin? Like what makes it legendary? It looks like some hobo.
Flap, these are great questions. I don't know the answer to. Would you rather play as this character, or would you rather play as this fucking badass monkey, right? Like an armor. Like, I don't know. You guys tell me. What would you rather play, just on the surface?
Yep.
I see what you made. Yet that's like the execution of this stuff. It's like the aesthetic, this veneer, and so that is something that I encountered a lot with, and I still encounter with at the college level. So you go to see the short films that they make. They're original short films, but they're around the same themes in the same way that these characters all look similar, like similar to Star Wars Outlaws, and there's something similar to Rings of Power. There's some artificial veneer that's that, and I can't explain it. It's just this. It is a cultural element that's it's almost contagious.
So I've got a question for Warren, actually, because you've actually interacted directly with these people who this game is supposedly made for, and I can look at a game like this and say, And I think we can all say, well, this DEI, this modern audience is smaller than the studios say it is. But like, presumably it exists. Presumably it's like some portion of college students actually hold these views. Why don't they engage with products?
I think they do, but I think it's larger than people think. And that portion of people, I understand why people describe it as a mind virus. It's so disconnected. They would never publicly make a comment about pronouns in a video game. But this goes back to this product, though, is just a crappy game. So it doesn't matter how much you dress it up with the window dressing or the pronouns. Even if those things pass to them and they like those things, it's still a crappy product. In the same way that Rings of Power is still a crappy show. It doesn't matter which camp you fall into or if you're encapsulated by that mind virus or not. It's still a crappy product. And you're going to have subsets of people that speak highly of Rings of Power, but it goes to the stories go to the subconscious in a similar way that video games tap into the subconscious. They resonate with us. It's not like you buy into this ideology and you like pronouns. You won't speak ill of these things publicly. Therefore, you're going to play the game. Unfortunately, fortunately, I would say that's our only protection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're muted.
You're muted, Craig.
Once again, still talking to myself. I feel like that is something that's also not addressed is the idea that a lot of these kids in college, they don't have any money, right? They don't have any money. The ones who are the loudest are the ones who don't have any money to spend on these products, right? They don't have $40 to buy, right? And that is worth talking about. But when they do actually get a job and they do actually make a little bit of money, most of them all of a sudden maybe their ideals shift a little bit, right? When they go, oh, it actually is nice to have a little extra scratch in my wallet, right? And my there is value in having a little bit of money, or it's like how your mindset changes when you have a family, right? Oh, okay, I kind of get what these people were talking about, right? I think that's probably the biggest thing. So then there's a bigger question associated there. Then why are people making games for an audience that doesn't have any money? Right? Like they can't buy it.
This is an interesting point, and I'm thinking more about this. And I think that this audience exists within a few demographics, and their motivations are different. You have the extremist true believers. These are people in college. This is like the polyamorous group house where like 12 people live and they're all on food stamps. These people genuinely don't have the money to buy products, and everything for them is a grift, trying to get other people to just like give them money on Tumblr and stuff. But I think if you look at like, for example, what is it, like 98% of like donations from like people who work at Facebook went to the Democratic Party. Like, I think this also exists within a faction of one of the things I always mention is that if you look at the Republican Party in the 90s, it was an alliance of big business and a theocratic faction, and then big business left and went far left. And it caused the dynamics of the party system to shift. That was really what led to the shift in the party system. And this big business faction, one of the things I always find funny is if you look at like big business people in the 90s, they're always coded Republican, like Jack Donaghy or something. And like today, Jack Donaghy would be super woke, or at least signal that he was super woke. And I wonder if what we're seeing is that the big business iteration of this, like I'm going to act woke so I can keep my job at Google or Facebook or McKinsey, if they're more like captives, like they all think that they're the only person who thinks this is stupid, but they know if they say anything, then they can't be promoted anymore. And so it's this mass delusion that we're seeing among the people who actually have money.
You could use Hollywood as a microcosm for, I keep trying to say this, as a microcosm for larger cultural issues. And if you listen to people who work within Hollywood who are willing to speak out about these things, they'll almost always, they'll talk about people speaking behind closed doors that talk about how frustrated they are, but they will never acknowledge it publicly. And I believe that it comes down to because there's this perceived moral high ground in the dialogue today. Anytime you're presented with a difficult decision, like what's the least bad option? There's two bad options. And you're wrestling with what is the best decision. When both are bad, it's this fear around anyway, there's this fear around being perceived, around these moral questions, and that's what I think that is driving so many people. It's just this, when you have products like video games, or you're making Rings of Power or a new Star Wars show, that's why they're consistently doing this. There's so much money on the table, and they want the moral high ground, the perceived, even though it's not really the moral high ground. They're going to take the path of least resistance, whether they believe it or not.
Well, speaking of money on the table, this was an excellent tweet put together by Look at My Meat One over on X. A comparison between a carrot and a single carrot and Concord here. The price of the two, obviously the price of the carrot, 25 cents, Concord, $40. Production time needed, 2 months to make a carrot, 8 years for Concord. The cost, $2 a pack of seeds, and $250 million for Concord. The biggest things, can you eat it? Yes, you can eat the carrot. No, you cannot eat Concord. Is it recommended by experts? Yes, the carrot is, and no, Concord is not. Is it well received by the public? Yes, the carrot is indeed received well, the Concord is not. And of course, the shelf life is probably the most important thing. The 21 to 29 days for the carrot versus only 12 days of Concord right there. So pretty funny stuff right there. Also, yesterday during the show, I ran out literally while the show was going to go buy copies of Concord because I saw an opportunity. I said, hey, these things we're going to need to turn these around because there's not a whole lot of physical copies out there. So I went out and bought a couple copies, as you see in the back. I may go back and buy more because if this is true, then I need to go make some money because apparently the auctions listed at Concord physical cost are $500 for the game now. And if you look on eBay, the game has shot up as well. $80, $80, $90. This one for $25,000 on eBay for Concord right here. But the game has shot up in value over the past 24 hours simply due to scarcity. So I hope that I can go back to Best Buy, buy the 3 copies, and then
you should just flip
copies.
some of them on eBay.
Should I flip them?
Yeah, flip one or two. Keep one for yourself.
Here's the problem with that, Blabs. Here's the problem is that I don't like having to buy shipping materials and then send it all out.
Just reuse a box that you add.
It's a pain in the ass. I don't like to deal with all that stuff. Anyways, but hey, that's right. I could just go flip that brick into an empire. That's right. That's what we're doing here. So, so there we go. There's the Concord situation in a nutshell. Warren, your just general overall thoughts on this.
I just think it's a catastrophe. As far as Concord, I agree. But it's kind of cool that we're here to talk about the biggest failure in video game history, it seems, logically. So
yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. Malcolm, your closing thoughts on that.
I hope that we see a transformation in the video game industry. I think what everyone is sort of waiting for right now is what happens with the Assassin's Creed. If the Assassin's Creed somehow clinches anything close to break even, I think we could see a big reversal in this tide. If it does fail as hard as something like Concord or some of the other titles, I think it's going to be very hard for us not to see a reversal.
Yep. I don't disagree with you on that. You know what's spectacular though? My God, Ian came in with the €50 monies. It says $5 game with $25,000 packing and shipping. There you go. That's right, Ian. That's how we're gonna do it. Thank you, Ian. Greatly appreciate that support. Massive support. Enjoy the massive support for you right there. That's great. Also, not to be outdone from Ian, that was 10 gifted memberships to the channel. That's spectacular. Ian, huge support today. We genuinely appreciate that. If you guys got a gifted membership, make sure you say thank you. Consider paying it forward. You guys have a lot of thoughts on Concord, and I think that's great. Before we move on and get to some of your thoughts on Concord, I wanted to give Malcolm and Warren the opportunity to see probably the coolest thing I've seen all day. We get down and we get into things. So I like to have a palate cleanser at the end of the show. And this we're going to go over to our friend Guru Larry, who's been on YouTube for a long time. Has a great channel, has a lot of tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff. But I saw this and thought, wow, this is quite spectacular. Do you guys remember the NES Advantage controller back in the day? No? Well, I'll pull a picture of it. But the NES Advantage controller has been stuck inside of a tree for over 30 years, and the tree has now enclosed around it, which
Wow.
I just think that's really freaking cool.
Who put it there?
That's a great question.
And why?
Right. There's you're right. That leads to many more questions right there. I don't know. You guys ever seen anything like that? Anything crazy like that before? Because I love the idea.
That's pretty cool though. It's just kind of like, just stuck in time. A little capsule.
You're right. Just stuck in time. For those curious, this is what the NES Advantage looked like. It looked like an arcade stick. So someone at some point said, "Hey, I'm going to stick this arcade stick in a tree," and then the tree just built all around it. So I think that's pretty freaking cool. So ended on a win right there. All right. Cool. I'll tell you what, let's give, we get a lot of super chats. So I always like to give our opportunity, I guess the opportunity to bounce before we get to our support. So Malcolm, Warren, if you guys like the opportunity to bounce and head on with your day, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, I'm going to run. I got to jump on something right after this, but thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah. And I'll check out the Quidditch game. I'm going to try and do the free version. I'll let you know, Blubs, what I think. But it was very good to meet you, Malcolm. It was
good to meet you too.
Do it again.
I'll reach out after this.
Awesome.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Have fun.
All right. Thanks, Warren. We'll see you later. Great stuff. Great stuff from Warren. Malcolm, you want to bounce or you want to stick?
I'm happy to stay to the end and go through the super chats.
He's staying with us all the way to the end. Awesome. Blabs, fire away. What do we got?
Okie dokies. First off, on local. Oh, God. Okay, so we have some memes on local. Let me just share them real fast because, they are donations. All right, so the first one is this one. And it says, from Spoon Ninja for $1, says, this guy entertained more people buying 2 copies of the game than Firewalker did selling the game. Great gaming moments of 2024.
Let's go.
And then we also have another one, and it's this one instead. And it says, oh, yeah, the new controversial HBO leak for the Harry Potter series casting. So those are great memes. Thank you for that. Conan image for, thanks Spoon Ninja for $1. Says, did someone say my name? No. Felstiff for $1 says, I was not impressed with the Quidditch gameplay. It felt like a glorified soccer game. Spoon Ninja for $1 says, hey, Craig's got a spare copy of Concord. Warren, maybe he can send it to you.
Nope.
Sorry, you missed that one.
$25,000.
Felstiff for $1 says, it's bad when you focus on the identity of the characters and try to write a story around their identity. It was a problem with the Rings of Power, Acolyte, and Concord. Felstiff also followed up with saying, I'm curious how many Concord controllers Sony has sold. Yes, I'd be very interested because it's also limited edition. And then, how many of those, did they make? Nobody knows. Spoon Ninja for $1 says, got 170 hours on Black Myth. Nice. Okay, all right, caught up on the locals. One time at band camps, for some reason I cannot show this. Why am I not able to show things on StreamYards? StreamYards just died for me. I can't click stuff anymore. But one time at band camp says, will Concord's failure be a turning point, or will devs continue pandering to their non-existent audience? I wish they continue to pander and fail. LOL. Yeah, I can't, there it is. Now I can click on it. I guess you had to click on it first. Whatever. Hobocop says, Concord and Dustport are trying to bring AVG in. Thank you. It's all Duggan Games says, given how few copies of Concord sold, future PS5 set collectors will have the equivalent of stadium events for NES to spend money on. Get yours graded. Thank you. Orthodox Monk says, day 1 of group stage of DOTA 2's, the international tournament started today. 16 teams from around the world competing for the Aegis of Champions trophy and millions of dollars prize pool.
You know what we won't see is a Concord World Championships. Yeah, we won't be seeing that.
Womp womp. Craig was actually going to start one up, guys. It was going to be a tournament for Concord.
Yeah, it's my next big initiative.
Leighton Neister says, DEI, more effort spent on pointless crap. Nathan says, DEI definitely caused Concord to fail because these kinds of products that focus on DEI always do it at the expense of everything else. Thank you. Flicker boxes. The modern audience is the short attention span, millennials and Gen Z. They exist but are not interesting in the woke material. Brandman, says, after the nonsense that Helldivers 2 put their players through, I've committed to never again buying from Western devs. This Concord and Dustborn crap continues to justify that decision. Yeah, it's true. We haven't even talked about it, but like Helldivers, they never updated their thing. They never took what they said they were not going to do anymore. So, bullshit. Lampshade for 5 says, to quote Pierce Brosnan, James Bond in Tomorrow Never Dies, you forgot the first rule of mass media, give the people what they want.
That's right.
Suna Soul Silver says, ever since Sony moved to Cali, they have double standard ever since and will never learn from their mistakes. I feel nothing but apathy on Sony. Flickerbox also says, over 3.3 billion people globally play video games, 2.6 million play mobile. David says, you can still play ET if you own an Atari. Concord will be erased from history. Gear says, looks like Sony got Concorded. Hypnotic and Rapture says, Stella is a fraud. They only played the beta. Norm says, the guy in charge of the GameStop account X should run the entire company, right? David says, Concord didn't fail. This wasn't the real Concord. Gear says, again, pronouns and modern audience don't exist. Blatant Aster says, notice how many of these failures are overwhelmingly from the West. We suck. The Orange Man says, you ever took a deuce that results in a bow in a bowl?
No, Orange Man, thanks. Thanks for your wonderful imagery right there.
Flicker boxes. As a person,
you don't even know what that means?
I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't want to know. Okay.
Flickerbox TV says, as a person in the movie system, this is the modern audience is treated like a religion. You are on the right track, Warren and Malcolm.
I agree. It should be thought of as a religion.
Gear says, eat waste Concord lost to delicious carrots. Norm, this is probably for Craig to read.
Concord put my kids through college.
And Master Gawa says, modern audience exists. It's feminist pronoun bearers creating our medium. They seek to convert everyone, but modern audience size is irrelevant since they merely grift and won't buy things except soy lattes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right, we do have some support over on the Direct Donation and the Rumble side of things. But first, I'd like to remind you guys, if you'd like to support us, you can head over to sidescrollerspodcast.com and become a member over there. This page is going to be continuously shifting and changing as we go along, but you can see videos as well as, we can watch me watch the Lord of the Rings films for the first time. Head over there, become a member at sidescrollerspodcast.com. And you can check out the videos. And once again, go over here and hit the support button and join us over there. You can also head over to sidescrollersmerch.com and pick up some of the ridiculous, silly, over-the-top merch, including your Normal Man t-shirt and your Make Gaming Great Again hat, the White Dudes for Gaming shirt, of course, our American Pride shirt, the Let Us Skateboard, and some Side Scrollers nice merchandise as well, including the classic logo, which is down at the bottom right there. So appreciate you guys and your support over there. Speaking of support, Bizarre Star says, with the 5 says, I think we all knew the relationship was a sham when we saw the picture of Taylor with Oscar the Grouch. That's right. Taylor Swift over there. Sub-Zero says they attack the normal man's culture and way of life through our kids. This is why my kids live in a bubble. And I don't give a fuck what anyone says about that. Thanks, Sub-Zero. Proctophile came in and says, I see how it is, Craig, telling me not to buy Dustborn, then going out and buying 2 copies of Concord. Well, I see how you. I'll have to see how I picked one up myself and managed to order the controller just before the site got cut off. Thanks for looking out, Blabs. Did the site get taken down for the controller? Damn.
It was just up.
Okay, I'll need to look at it. God damn it, I want a new name. Came in with a 10. Says, I absolutely adore the cope of the average leftist on social media. They never put their money where their mouth is, but they always want us to pay for their propaganda. How about no? Also, can't wait for the Uva Bowl stream. I have some very choice words. That'll be on Tuesday. Uva Bowl joining us with Razor. Delta came in, says, the thing that drives me bonkers is seeing tweets with 10K likes going, if you blame Concord's failure on DEI, then you're part of the problem. This is execs and capitalism's fault. I feel like the general in Iron Giant. Where's the money Mansley. That's right. Thanks, Delta. Appreciate that. Then he followed up and says, I know people forgot this, but Sega canceled Hyenas close to launch. People forget that these studios pitch ideas to the publisher and are given free reign to just need to showcase a playable demo every year or two. These dev studios can also be blamed. Correct. And Dork Sword Phil came in and says, wear your Beat Your Demon shirt tomorrow, Crag. And
oh my God, do it.
Bring lots of aspirin. I think you'll need it. Yeah, I'll be on Dark Side Phil's show tomorrow. The Bizarre Star came back with another 5, says, I think the one thing that to take away from all this when comparing Concord to ET is that games like ET led to a crash that really only affected North America. Concord's failure could affect all over. Excellent point, Bizarre Star. Really appreciate that. Over on Rumble, B. Barrett came in with the 2. Says, yesterday Craig tried to get stores to play Danger Zone, Footloose, and I'm all right. But got kicked out of the stores for too many logins attempts. Thanks, B. Barrett. Saint says, in the 2000s, the Hawk Tuah girl would have made it on a reality show on VH1. That's true. Abomination says, I don't believe you can have a movie of a pure sandbox game. Most players make their own lore. Making a movie will be akin to pissing all over the player's lore that they took so much time making. That's actually a really good point, Abomination. Mm-hmm. McLeod says, so Blabs is going to play this in the woods too? Oh, I guess to make fun of your pictures that you take of you in the woods. And Mimic
in the woods.
That's right. Mimic came in and says, remember, Sony also thought Madam Web was a good idea. There you go. All right. There we go. We are caught up.
Nope.
Across.
Highlander says the real Concord is the friends made along the way.
There you go.
Orthodox Month says monkey game taking down the Yaguai of the West. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. And then Miner says, Craig, send me a copy of Concord signed by ya.
So I will not be doing that unless you pay me $24,999.
Tax is free.
Yeah. So I was just tagged in this over on X, and I feel like it's very important to bring this up once again. That this is people putting this up over on eBay. Grums posted this a second ago, and I responded to it. I was tagged in this initially. It says people dumping their Concord physical copies on eBay. And I just responded with, by the way, I'm rich. By the way, I'm willing to part with mine for $24,999. So I am providing a discount there. So, and by the way, I'm definitely going to go buy 3 more copies.
Over on Local, Spoon Ninja sent another $1 saying the only time man should identify with a female pronoun is when getting on a lifeboat on the Titanic.
All right.
That's funny.
All right, Malcolm, fill everybody in where they can find you, my friend.
You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Basecamp. That is the main area. Basecamp with Malcolm and Simone. And I will close out with saying, just to promote, because I always, if I'm on a gaming channel, I got to promote indie devs that are doing good work. Game I'm really enjoying right now is Tactical Breach Wizards, which is an indie game in the XCOM style, which has been pretty good, and the writing's really solid in it.
Cool.
But anyway, it's been great joining you guys.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to have you, man. Love the yin and the yang aspect we got with you going on over there. By the way, we
are opposites. Me and War. I love it. Very fun.
Love it. By the way, I did think this was kind of neat, Blabs. I don't know if you wanted to share this, but I'm going to. This is the PlayStation 1 version of you. Did you?
Yeah, that's so weird.
You got.
I don't know what's going on.
I mean, they took your face and they put it into Harry Potter or something like this.
I don't know. I mean, the pendant isn't what I was wearing, but almost everything else is spot on. It's wild.
Yep. Welcome to AI.
Wait, is this in a game like a mod?
No, they just made that.
I think this is an AI creation that was made to look like a PlayStation 1 game. Or a PlayStation 2 game or whatever. But
can someone please meme me with PS1 Hagrid? Thank you.
I love it. Well, pretty neat stuff. All right, we're getting out of here, guys. Thank you so much for your support. We'll be back tomorrow when we're back at it at 11 a.m. Central Time. But I will be live over on the Side Scrollers Plays channel for the first time in like 6 weeks. So join me over there here in just a little bit. That's at Side Scrollers Plays over on YouTube. Same spot over on Rumble. So find me over there, and we're going to have a great time. I'm very much looking forward to checking out this game I think a lot of you guys will enjoy it as well. So find me over there. Look forward to seeing you there when we get on it. Ian, I got to get Ian on the wall, by the way. I did not put Ian on the wall today.
Yeah, put Ian on the wall.
So Ian, let's get you on the wall before we wrap up. But with that said, Blabs, hey, do me a favor, Blabs. Take everybody out. Look at that, Ian.
Alrighty, chat people and peasants alike. People are gonna try to keep you down. Don't let them. You guys gotta go get them. We'll see you tomorrow with you and me in the movies. Bye, everybody.
Fatality. I didn't hit end stream yet.
Why would you do that?